beautiful friends, it's Amanda here, and today I'm going to be testing out some new products from NYX Cosmetics. This all started because I needed to restock my brow glue. I love this The Brow Glue Brow Gel from NYX Cosmetics. I have some pretty unruly brow hairs, and this does such a nice job for me. I think this is my third tube of this. I go back and forth between the Brow Glue and Glossier's Boy Brow, so I've been pretty loyal to this one. As I was perusing the NYX wares, a few of their newer releases jumped out at me. First are these Pro Fix sticks. I've been doing a lot more traveling and just on-the-go makeup lately, so I was intrigued by the possibility of having a very easy grab and go travel makeup solution. 0.2 pink, and I got shade number 2 fair. These are both labeled as correcting concealers, but the pink shade is more of a true color corrector, and then fair is more of a true concealer. So I'm going to be testing these out today. I was also very excited to try these new Buttermelt products. So I got one of the Buttermelt Bronzers, shade 3 Deserve Butta. This is described as a light medium neutral. This definitely ended up being quite a bit warmer than I expected, but that's okay. It's a bronzer. It's supposed to be warm, I guess. And then I got two of the Buttermelt blushes. These have a little bit of a sheen to them. You know, I love a casually sweaty cheek, so I'm very excited for these. This more rosy one is number 6 for the Butta, and the more terracotta nude shade is number 9, Feeling Butta. So I'm going to swatch these. I'm going to apply them. We're going to see how they work out. Let's go back in time to No Makeup Amanda and try some of these things on. Let's start with a bare face and some of these Pro Fix sticks. I just want to show you a close-up. These remind me so much of the ColourPop Lippy sticks, the way that they twist up and just the shape of them. I'll give you a quick little swatch, and really kind of giving myself a quick swatch since I ordered these online. I wasn't really sure what shades I was getting, what shades to expect, and the fair shade is quite a bit lighter than I anticipated, so we're just gonna roll with it. First, I'm gonna use the pink color corrector in my under eye area. I do have, as most people, a little bit thinner skin there, so it tends to be a little bit more bluish silvery in appearance. You can see some of my veins underneath just due to that delicate little thin skin there. Not to give too many spoilers away, but I do find myself enjoying and appreciating the effects of this pink color corrector shade more so than the actual concealer. Could just be because of the shade that I purchased, but here in the side by side, you can see it really brightened up that area. It wasn't necessarily supposed to give a ton of coverage, but I think it gave just a nice tone, a nice little sheer coverage there. And in general, I prefer the pink shade. I see myself using that in conjunction with another concealer. And perhaps I just need to try out a little bit, just slightly deeper concealer shade. I do think fair is borderline too light for me, so maybe just bumping up to the next color would work a little bit better for me. Here in the under eye area where I do want some more brightness, it does work just fine, but I decided to test this in some other areas that I typically conceal to see how it looked on the rest of my face, and it's definitely too light for that usage, but I think it's also just a little bit too matte for the rest of my face. Personally, I have quite dry skin to begin with, so typically something a little bit creamier, more on the liquid, dewy side is going to work better for me for concealers. I knew that going in. I'm really just doing this for the sake of testing this concealer out to see how it behaves. I always like to give stuff as much of a chance as possible, especially my first time trying it. And while I don't think that this particular texture suits my skin on the rest of my face. I do think that part of the problem is just the shade match, which is on me. I can't really blame the concealer for that. This is very easy to use. It's not nearly as dry and stiff as many other stick concealers and foundations that I've used in the past. So I think this would be better for somebody who just doesn't have a drier skin type. And I am contending with more texture than ever now. I am close to 40, so those fine lines and wrinkles and just general texture on the skin is more prevalent than it used to be. So I think, especially nowadays, things that are quite matte and quite dry tend to emphasize those little texture changes and wrinkles and crinkles. Which is fine, it's part of life, and there are always going to be shifting needs and shifting preferences along with those needs. So, just because this isn't a perfect match for me personally doesn't mean that it's a bad product. It's just probably better suited to somebody who has a more normal, even like a combo oily skin type might prefer this texture a little bit more. I think you could just see here it's really setting on top of the skin and clinging to those dry patches. So it's not the perfect fit for me, but I'm going to rescue it by adding some hydration. I'm going to take a little bit of my beloved Danessa Myricks Yummy Skin Tint, and I'm going to put that on top. This will add a little bit more coverage. It's definitely a much better shade match, and it's also going to add a little bit of moisture back in. So I think this really rescued the look, and it also worked great. I wasn't sure what to expect with layering these textures on top of each other, but I feel like it was very simple and easy. I can see why these fix sticks would be great color correctors because other makeup layered really nicely on top of them. Quick break to hydrate the lips, and then I'm going to bust out the brow glue. I use the shade dark brown, and I can use this in conjunction with a brow pencil if I want to fill in any of those little patchy spots or just add an overall bolder look to my brows. But you can see here, this does a decent job of adding a little bit of tint, which makes this a great one and done product. I love that type of thing. I love a little lazy girl makeup, and this brow gel definitely does the trick. Now let's warm up the face a little bit with this Buttermelt Bronzer. This is the shade 3 Deserve Butta. And before I apply it, let me just give you a little swatch here so that you can see what we can expect. This really reminds me of the Physicians Formula Butter Bronzer. The texture and the scent, the way that it applies with a very soft little satiny sheen. I personally really enjoyed the butter bronzer. I know that a lot of other folks did too, so this is a high compliment to be compared to such a cult favorite. I'm not a huge bronzer lover, a huge bronzer wearer, so I'm using a very light hand as I apply here. And I'm using the Singe Beauty F06 brush. This has become my go-to brush when I want to do a bronzer. It just has the perfect shape and it has these really flexible bristles, so it lets me have a nice light application, which is what I'm looking for. I think that this bronzer looks good. It definitely suits me. I would be interested in trying the next shade down. Since I have three, maybe I could give two a shot because I do prefer a more subtle bronzer look, and then I prefer a bolder blush look. We have two Buttermelt blushes here to swatch before I decide which one I'm going to go with today. I went for a mid-tone rosy shade and then something that was a little bit deeper, more of a terracotta type of color. Both of these look super beautiful. I love the bit of sheen in these blushes. I decided to go with the rosy shade for today. This one is called For the Butta. These blushes are really pigmented. I was impressed by how much color payoff I was able to get from just one little dip into the blush pan. These also wore really nicely. I wore this makeup all day long and it held up beautifully. Both the sheen and the color lasted quite nicely on my cheeks, and I didn't wear any setting spray or anything. I also didn't feel like I needed to add any highlighter because this blush gave me such a nice little natural glow. Overall, blush is my number one favorite thing that I tried today, but the Buttermelt Bronzer is definitely a close second for me. At the end of the day, I think my makeup turned out looking really nice, and that's ultimately what matters to me. Personally, I'm not as excited about the fix sticks. They worked pretty decently well for me. Part of it is I maybe just got the wrong color. I think my overall look would turn out better if I used a few more colors and added a little bit more of a dynamic look, but just the finish was so for me, maybe a little bit too drying for my personal, very dry skin. However, I love the Buttermelt products. I absolutely would buy more of these. I'm interested to try a lighter shade of the bronzer. This one worked fine, but I feel like I could just be less cautious with application if I got a lighter shade, which I would be interested in doing because this feels good, it looks good, and it smells good. And I absolutely love this blush. I will be clamoring to wear the other shade very soon, but I would pick up more of the Buttermelt products and I probably won't be rushing back to the Fix Sticks. That's just me. That's just one girl's opinion. Now's the time when I want to hear what you think about these products. Have you tried any of these? Is there something else from NYX that you think I should try? You think I would love? You want to see reviewed? I always love to hear what you think about things too. So make sure you leave all your thoughts down in the comments below. As always, thank you so much for watching and I'll see you in my next video. Bye. Okay, get it together. Okay, get it together. It's going great. This guy right here is just absolutely giving me grief. Let's see if I can. I mean, is that a little bit better? Gotta go around it, not just on it. Pro tips. I think that's a little bit better. Oh, I don't know. Can you hear my dog snoring? Yeah. I already know. I already know that. I don't know. It's going great. Whoa, aggressive. Little casually sweaty cheek. I think that these cheek products would look even better if I did my normal base routine instead of these color fix sticks. These remind me of lippy sticks. Hmm. I'm so distracted by my shiny eyeshadow today, as usual. Oh, excuse me. It's going great. This is the casual sweat appearance that I want. It's not so intense. It just looks like my skin is so hydrated and so fresh and so flushed and dewy and just filled with youth and hydration. What am I wearing on my face mask? It is the Air Palette from the Lethal Avatar: The Last Airbender collection. I'm working on some tutorials and some comparisons, but I want to have a lot of looks and a lot of comparisons, so it's gonna take me a while. 'Cause I'm going on a girls' trip soon, just for a long weekend, and I don't think I'm gonna be able to get that video finished before my girls' trip, because I have a lot of other videos to finish, and I gotta pack, and, hey, school's out, so now I have more than usual mom duty, which is fine, it's great. You know what? We're juggling, we're shifting things around, we're being flexible, we're making things happen. I'm fine. All right, that's it. Thanks for watching. You're the best, and you deserve a big hug and a milkshake, unless you're lactose intolerant, in which case you deserve a slushie. Okay, I love your face. Bye.